hanggang Huwebes. At ngayon, mas pinahaba pa ang kanilang oras. Alas 9 hanggang alas 10 na po ng gabi. Ang programang Kaalamang Pangkalusugan. Dito sa DZXL 558 Manila. Wala ka bang trabaho? Narito na ang mga bakanteng trabaho para sa'yo, local o overseas, sa Job Openings.
Magandang araw! Sa mga nag-aabang ng trabaho, narito na ang job opening sa Radyo Trabaho sa DZXL 558. Sa Metro Manila, ang Hernando Manpower Services ay nangangailangan ng mga sumusunod: Promodizer, Promoter, Sales Demo, Graphic Artist, Service Crew, Driver, Office Staff, and Warehouse Staff. Ang Asia-wide Human Resources and Consultancy Corporation naman ay nangangailangan ng mga sumusunod: for office-based, HR staff, office staff, admin staff, accounting staff, and operations assistant. For sales and retail, sales assistant, product specialist, merchandiser, promodizer, sales associate, med representative. For maintenance and technical, utility, cashier, warehouseman, helper, delivery driver with driver's restriction codes 1, 2, and 3. Kung kayo interesado, maaari kayong tumawag sa Radyo Trabaho text line 0967-372-9014. Magpadala ng inyong updated resume sa aming email address na radyotrabaho@gmail.com. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon at iba pang mga job openings, maaaring bumisita sa aming website rmn.ph at Facebook page RMN DZXL 558 Manila. Ako po ang inyong boss Ramsey Tirona at dito sa Radyo Trabaho, abay trabaho lang, walang personalan. Trabaho.
Lumipas at magbago man ang panahon, iisa at nakatatak ang kauna-unahang himpilan sa paghahatid ng serbisyo publiko at balita. Ito ang Radio Mindanao Networks sa Metro Manila. Ito ang DZXL Radyo Trabaho 558 kHz. Ang inyong gabay sa hanap buhay. The Debate, Age of Sexual Consent, ang debate. Nina Atty. Ronnie Randolph Libayan at Fiscal Erwin James Badayos Fabrica. The Debate, Age of Sexual Consent, Usapang Batas Special.
Is the age of sexual consent 18 or 16?
Ano ang tama? Pakinggan ang paliwanag ng bawat panig. Kasamang abogada ng bayan, Atty. Claire Castro bilang moderator at Rod Marcelino. The Debate, Age of Sexual Consent, Usapang Batas Special. Mapapakinggan sa DZXL 558 RMN Manila, live sa DZXL News YouTube channel at Facebook DZXL News. The Debate, Age of Sexual Consent, Usapang Batas Special. Hatid ng DZXL 558 RMN Manila. Magandang hapon Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Maayong hapon. Magandang hapon sa ating mga suki, sa ating mga kababayan na kanina pa po'y inaabangan. Opo, yung mga nasa iba't ibang panig ng ating bansa at maging sa buong mundo. Ako pong inyong lingkod, Radyoman Rod Marcelino. At bago ho tayo mag-umpisa sa ating special presentation ng Usapang Batas, mga kasama, ngayong hapon, amin pong inaanyayahan ang lahat na samahan po mga kasama si Johan Sebastian para po sa ating opening prayer. Mr. Johan.
Magandang hapon sa lahat. Atin nung ilagay ang ating presensya sa ating Panginoon. O Lord of hosts, the Almighty Father, Creator of heaven and earth, let this day be a blessing to those who will heed the truth and has taken heart of it. Heavenly Father, Lead the wise men and set us free from the deceiver. Grant us, O Father of heaven, the wisdom and brilliance to see the truth, the steadfastness for the truth, the strength to defend the truth, and to stand for the truth against the trickery and lies of the devil. May thou guide us, Almighty Father, in the important matter of discourse. Let us feel thy presence within our shoulders and with the right conviction. O Lord God, Jesus, Son of the Most High, we beseech thee in thy holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Maraming salamat, Mr. Johan Johan Sebastian.
The Debate. The Debate. Usapang Batas Special.
Hindi na napindot.
Mga kababayan, sa lahat po ng mga nakikinig sa DZXL 558 RMN Manila, yung mga nasa bahay at nakikinig sa kanilang mga radyo at sa mga nanonood sa ating YouTube sa DZXL News at Facebook DZXL News. Handa na po ba kayo? Mga kasama, narito ang kauna-unahang debate sa radyo. Ito ang The Debate. Age of Sexual Consent, Usapang Batas Special. Ang edad pa para sa sexual consent ay 16 o 18. Yan ang pagdedebatehan ngayong hapon, mga kasama, ang ating dalawang kalahok. Pero bago po ang lahat, mga kasama, ay ating munang kumustahin ang ating abogada ng bayan, mga kasama, na siyang magsisilbing moderator sa ating debate ngayong hapon. Walang ibang kundi si Atty. Claire Castro. Partner, magandang hapon.
Yes, magandang hapon sa lahat ng sumusubaybay sa Usapang Batas Special at para dito sa ating event, no, ang The Debate. So, ayoko nang patagalin, partner. Pakilala mo na ang ating mga participants.
Mga kasama, ang ating unang debater, isang professional o public attorney, 2004 to 2006, RTC Branch Clerk of Court 2006 to 2010, Prosecutor 2010 hanggang sa kasalukuyan. Walang iba, mga kasama, kung hindi si Fiscal Erwin James Badayos Fabregas.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon po.
From Ormoc City.
From Ormoc City. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mga kasama, ang ating susunod na kalahok naman, he is no illustrious background. He was born to parents who were fueled primarily by love and hard work in raising him with his 3 siblings. They were a normal, struggling Filipino family. Atty. Libayan was public schooled from elementary to college. He earned a bachelor's degree in environmental science from Benguet State University and a law degree from University of Baguio. A newcomer in legal education at that time, Atty. Libayan believes that justice should be affordable to everyone. Thus, BatasNatin.com was born. BatasNatin.com became the first, most comprehensive and interactive online resource in the Philippines. He personally offers free legal advice in his firm's forums and give pro bono services, especially to laborers. The true testimony of Atty. Libayan's success are not the awards he received or the schools he attended. None of those are more prestigious than those of the testimony of the people he worked with, the clients he served, and his continuing pursuit to keep noble to the profession he chose. Mga kasama, walang iba kundi si Atty. Ronnie Randolph B. Libayan.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Parang kinopya ho yata yun sa website. Nakakaya. Fiscal EJ, kumusta po kayo? Yung mga host po natin, kumusta? And to the adjudicators, I am humbled po.
Magpapaliwanag lang po ako. Kaya medyo mahaba yung kay Atty. Libayan. Yan yung ibinigay sa atin. Kay Fiscal EJ, yan din lang yung binigay sa atin. So, ipagpaumanhin nyo, yan lang po natanggap naming mga facts. So, yun lang po yung sa intro. Thank you po.
Alright. Ngayon naman, ipapakilala natin ang ating mga hurado, mga kasama ngayong hapon. Opo. Ang unang hurado After passing the 1980 bar examinations, Justice Herrera first practiced law for 14 years before joining the judiciary. He was actively involved in litigation, first as a senior associate in the law firm of Quezon de Guzman, Macalintal, and Barot, and then as a junior partner in the law firm of Ermitano, Manzano, and Associates. Justice Herrera was appointed presiding judge of the Regional Trial Court of Bulacan Branch 20 in May 1994. He was an RTC judge for 17 years, or from 1994 until he was appointed Associate Justice of the Sandigan Bayan on April 26, 2011. As an RTC judge, Justice Herrera served as first Vice Executive Judge of Bulacan in 2000 and 2001, and then as executive from 2001 to 2003. During his stint in Bulacan, his sala was designated one after the other as Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court, then Drugs Court, thereafter Special Election Court, and later on as a regular court. He was briefly detailed as assisting judge in RTC Quezon City in 1996 to 1997. As an RTC judge, Justice Herrera is a recipient of the following major awards: the Centennial Award for Judicial Excellence given by the Supreme Court and the Foundation for Judicial Excellence on June 4, 2001. The Chief Justice Ramon Avancena Award for Judicial Excellence given by the Supreme Court on September 19, 2003. The 2004 Dangal ng Bayan Award as Outstanding Public Servant given by the Civil Service Commission in August 2004. He is also the recipient of the following Special Award for Integrity in the Handling and Disposition of Drug Cases given by the International Narcotics Enforcement Officers Association Inc. on October 20, 2003. Award of Recognition given by the Provincial Board of Bulacan on October 2, 2003, and a Papal Award given on December 8, 2020 by the Ramon Catholic Church. He was conferred the Croce Pro Ecclesia et Pontifice on the Sacred Cross for the Church and Pope. Throughout the years, he has received several other citations and commendation given by various organizations. Justice Herrera has been teaching law continuously for 32 years. Now, he is presently teaching the UST Faculty Civil Law and the San Beda College of Law. He also taught law at the FEU Institute of Law, the Marcelo H. Del Pilar College of Law of the Bulacan State University, and the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. He teaches civil and remedial law, practice court, trial technique, law, and values. He is also a pre-bar reviewer in remedial law and a lecturer and a member of the Corps of Professors of the Philippines Judicial Academy. He has also been a lecturer in the mandatory continuing legal education program of the UP College of Law, as well as in seminars for prosecutors and judges organized by other entities. Justice Herrera has attended various seminars, conventions, and training programs in the Philippines abroad. Justice Herrera graduated from the UST Faculty of Civil Law in 1979 and passed the 1980 bar examinations. He was the president for 11 years of the UST Law Alumni Association. He is a member of the Board of Trustees of the Society for Judicial Excellence and chairs the screening committee in the search for outstanding first-level trial court judges. He is a member of the Supreme Court Subcommittee for the revisions of the Rules on Criminal Procedure. Justice Herrera is a member of the Couples for Christ and Knights of Columbus. He is also currently the chairman of the Parish Pastoral Council of the Holy Trinity Parish in Quezon City, where he also served as a special minister of the Holy Communion. He and his wife headed the family and life ministry of the parish. Justice Herrera was considered by the Judicial and the Bar Council for promotion to the appellate court more than 20 times. He made it 12 times to to the short list of nominees submitted by the JBC to former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, 9 times for the Court of Appeals and 3 times for the Sandigan Bayan. On his 13th nomination, he was appointed by President Benigno S. Aquino III as Associate Justice of the Sandigan Bayan. Justice Herrera now chairs the second division of the Sandigan Bayan. He also chairs the Sandigan Bayan Committee on Rules that drafted the 2018 revised internal rules of the Sandigan Bayan, which was approved by the Supreme Court. Mga kasama, ang ating unang hurado, walang iba kundi si Justice Oscar C. Herrera Jr. Opo,
Justice, nakamute.
Just naka-mute po kayo.
Maraming salamat po. Napakahaba naman ng introduction. So, anyway, thank you for that introduction and a pleasant afternoon to everyone. No, the two protagonists. No, we expect a fierce debate. No, although it will be friendly and healthy debate. No, sponsors, thank you for inviting me, and I would like to acknowledge the presence of good afternoon, my colleagues in the judiciary, my former chairperson of the Sandigan Bayan, no? The Honorable Justice Teresita Baldos, and a good friend, no? Ito, kalaro ko po ng basketball ito, no? Justice Alfredo Ampuan, no? Good afternoon, and thank you for that introduction.
Good afternoon, Justice. Thank you po.
Ang ating susunod na hurado naman, mga kasama, excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance. Determine your destiny. It is on this premise that I will take you down the road to know our guest of honor. Probably it is the most significant, if not the best and memorable occasion I have ever attended. Okay. His academic and professional records are par excellence. He finished his elementary grades at the Sawang Barrio Elementary School, Kapul, Northern Samar as class valedictorian. A consistent first honor in first and second year high school at the Treasure Island Academy, Kapul, Northern Samar, and later transferred to Manila at the Philippine College of Criminology and graduated as class salutatorian. He graduated Bachelor of Science in Agriculture and Biosystems Engineering at University of Eastern Philippines and is a licensed agricultural and biosystems engineer. His professional career was launched when after graduation he was immediately hired as Instructor 1 of the UEP College of Engineering, having obtained the number 1 rank in the computation of grade point average among the graduates, hence a class valedictorian partida dubbed as Drunken Master. He served the College of Engineering for 9 years. Then he became the Dean of Academic Mariners Polytechnic College in Naga City for 6 years. He graduated with a Juris Doctor Bachelor of Laws degree at the University of Nueva Cáceres in Naga City. With VP Lenny Robredo, his classmate, and is a member of the Philippine Bar. Having passed the bar exam, he became the first engineer lawyer of Northern Samar. He engaged in private practice as a lawyer for 5 years and being then the in-house counsel of the Crusade Against Violence with Senator Escudero, a lawyer of the Volunteer Against Crime and Corruption. After 5 years of private practice, he joined the Public Attorney's Office in Pasay and Naga for 3 years. After which he was appointed as professor of the UEP College of Law. And after 2 years of his stint as a UEP College of Law professor, he was appointed as assistant prosecutor of Naga and later transferred to Manila and designated as special prosecutor of the Bureau of Immigration. After 5 years as public prosecutor, he was appointed as Metropolitan Trial Court Judge of Manila and was awarded as Outstanding RTC Judge together with 4 other RTC judges. After 8 years as an RTC judge, he was appointed to a higher tribunal as Associate Justice of the Court of Appeals. Presently, he is the senior member of the 14th Division of the Court of Appeals, Manila, having demonstrated and achieved exemplar achievements in his personal and professional life. Our guest of honor, mga kasama, at isa sa mga hurado natin ngayong hapon, walang iba kundi si Associate Justice Alfredo Dalucapas Ampuan. Magandang hapon po, Associate Justice.
Good afternoon, Justice. Thank you for the time.
Good afternoon, classmate.
Thank you po.
Attorney Claire was my classmate in the Master's of Law degree at the University of at the
UST.
University of Santo Tomas.
Opo. Thank you po, Justice.
That was when was that, right, Claire?
Po?
19. When was that?
I forgot na the year. Justice. Let's forget the year. Malalaman nila age natin.
Si Chair, kabasketball ko po ang ating Chair in this debate, si Justice Herrera. Ano sir, kailan tayo ulit mag-basketball?
All right.
Okay, thank you po, Justice.
Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction, Claire.
Okay. Our next judge, mga kasama, 2018 to present, Chair, Construction Industry Arbitration Commission, 2003 to 2016, Associate Justice Sandigan Bayan, 1994 to 2003, Presiding Judge, Regional Trial Court, Branch 17, Malolos, Bulacan, 1984 to 1994, Special Prosecutor, Officer 3, OSP Investigator 3, Chief Legal Officer, all of the Office of the Tanod Bayan, rename of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, 1974 to 1984, Attorney 4, Attorney Associate, Attorney Technical Assistant of the Office, Justice Ramon C. Aquino, Supreme Court, 1971 to 1972, Legal Officer 1, Land Registration Commission, 1970 to 1971, Stenographer, Boards of Examiners. Well, 1966 to 1970, Juris Doctor, University of Santo Tomas, Scholar. 1962 to 1966, Bachelor of Arts, Major in English and minor in Sociology, University of Santo Tomas, graduated magna cum laude. Secondary education, high school, St. Therese College, Quezon City. Elementary education, St. Therese College of Quezon City. Accreditation Course Philippines Dispute Center 2017 and 2014 European Criminal Justice System Trier. Mga kasama, siya din po ang Vice President and Member Board of Trustees UST Law Alumni Foundation and Consultant Divina Law. Opo, naging chairperson din siya ng Sandigan Bayan Gender and Development Committee from 2009 to 2016, member of Best Written Decision Award, RTC level, given by the Philippine Women's Judges Association, March 12, 1999. Finalist, 1999 and 2000 awards for Judicial Excellence and 2001 Centennial Awards for Region 3. Past President, RTC Judges Association of Bulacan 2003. Past First Vice Executive Judge of Bulacan 2003. Past Second Vice Executive Judge of Bulacan 2001 to 2002. Former Cases Editor of UST Law Review 1969 to 70. Most Exalted Sister, Astrea Law Sorority. Keeper of the Scroll, Astrea Law Sorority, Vice President, UST Law Dramatic Guild, and member of Alpha Lambda Sigma Sorority, UST College of Arts and Letters. Mga kasama, magaling din siyang magpatutog ng piano, cross-stitching, and crossword puzzles. Mga kasama, ang ating susunod na hurada ay walang iba retired Sandigan Bayan, mga kasama. Justice Teresita V. Diaz Baldos. Magandang hapon po, Justice.
Good afternoon po.
Hello.
Yes. Justice, walang kupas ang ganda.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat for the very generous introduction. Good afternoon also to my co-judges and of course, the combatants in this afternoon's affair. Kiginagagala ko po at kinararangal na maanyayahan para maupo bilang isa sa mga hurado sa pagtatanghal natin ngayong hapon. And I expect a very promising and very enlightened debate this afternoon. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you po.
Okay. At bago po tayo mag-umpisa, paalala lang po, gusto po nating sabihin sa ating mga nanonood sa YouTube at yung mga nanonood sa ating Facebook Live, wag nyo po munang ila-live sa inyo pong mga sariling Facebook page at gusto natin lahat po tayo ay nakatutog lang rito sa iisang platform ng DZXL, yung YouTube namin at yung Facebook, para nang sa ganon lahat po ng inyong mga opinion, lahat po ng inyong mga komento ay po pwede iisa lang po ang babasahin natin rito sa ating special na presentasyon ng ating programang Usapang Batas, ang The Debate. And
kasi partner, pati yung comments nila is ipapakita din natin habang nagkakaroon ng debate.
Opo. At gusto rin namin kunin ang pagkakataon na please like and subscribe ang aming YouTube channel DZXL News at ang aming Facebook DZXL News. Na bueno, mga
and
kasama.
And don't forget,
yes.
Refrain from using maligning words.
Yes.
Debate lang po ito.
Yun ang napaka-importante, partner. Okay, mga kasama, para sabihin na sa atin kung paano po ang magiging tagbo, ang mechanics ng ating debate ngayong hapon. Ito na ang ating nag-iisang abogada ng bayan, mga kasama, bilang moderator ng ating debate ngayong hapon para sa mechanics.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon everyone in the Philippines. Good morning or good afternoon or evening also in other parts of the world. O ano ba, kinabahan ba kayo? Of course, nationwide and worldwide tayo because of the internet coverage. Welcome po to the special edition of Usapang Batas because today is a Sunday, 17th of September 2023, at alam niyo naman ang regular programming natin mula Monday hanggang Friday lang po, 7:30 hanggang 9 o'clock ng magandang gabi. Ako po ang inyong likod, Atty. Castro, and I will be your moderator for this much awaited and talk about debate in different social media platforms and other fora by people of all walks of life, lawyers and non-lawyers alike. This debate is between a private practicing lawyer and a public prosecutor. And of course, this debate is out of the courtroom. They took it upon themselves to engage in an intelligent and friendly discussion of the issue at hand. May mga issues tayo tungkol sa mga patuloy na pagtaas ng produktong petrolyo, pagtaas ng sibuyas, sili, West Philippine Seas, and the new game in town, the confidential intelligence funds. Despite these interesting issues hovering around, the management of RMN DZXL 558 Manila is gracious enough to sponsor a debate which our participants decided to discuss in full and even debate on the most interesting topic, that is sex. Age of sexual consent, whether it is 18 or 16. The age of sexual consent is the age at which a person is considered to be competent to consent to sexual acts. As a result, when an adult has sexual relations with a child, they cannot legally claim that it was consensual. Instead, it may be referred to child abuse based on RA 7610, or known as Anti-Child Abuse Act, that defines child as a person below 18 years old or those over but are unable to fully take care of themselves or protect themselves from abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, or discrimination because of the physical or mental disability or condition. In the light of the idea that a young child is assumed to lack discernment and to be incapable of providing informed approval or consent to a sexual act, the age of consent becomes relevant. The Revised Penal Code and the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act, which is RA 7610, have been amended by Republic Act number 11648, which was signed by the former President Rodrigo Duterte on March 4, 2022, to be better protect children from sexual exploitation and abuse, the law raised the threshold age for statutory rape from 12 to 16 years old. My question to all qualified viewers and listeners, when did you first have sex? Oops, MTRCB, excuse me po, for academic and legal purposes only. Nothing scandalous nor indecent plays are meant. Let's go back to our senses. Try to recall, reminisce, and savor the moment. Maybe some of you are smiling, some of you are proning. But anyways, we need parental guidance. Striktong patnubay ang kailangan for those who are still minors watching us. To all parents out there, do you approve the idea that your underage child be active in sex? When is it acceptable for a child to give his or her permission for sex based on our existing laws and jurisprudence? I can see some eyes rolling. Hold your horses, catch your breath. Don't make any violent reactions because we are not yet in the main event. This is just an intro of our topic for today's debate. Save those feelings to the debaters' explosives on the topic. And so because of this, we are very honored and thankful for the privilege of having the presence of our three legal luminaries who were welcomed a while ago by our host. Of course, Justice Teresita Diaz-Baldos, Justice Alfredo Ampuan, and our Chief Adjudicator, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr. Okay, now going back to the main event, our proposition, let it be resolved that the age of sexual consent is 18 years old. Attorney Randolph Billy Bayan will take the affirmative constructive side. Fiscal Erwin James Badayos Fabriga argues that age of sexual consent is 16. Hence, he will take the negative constructive stance. We do not know what will happen after this debate, but one thing is for sure, we will gain tons of knowledge that is unquantifiable and intangible, and that is paramount. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the modified Lincoln-Douglas debate format, and here are the ground rules. The affirmative will make his opening speech for a maximum time of 15 minutes, after which he will be cross-examined by the negative for a maximum time of 8 minutes. Okay? A 2-minute break or prep time will be allocated in the preparation for the negative constructive speaker. The negative will give his opening speech or rebut for a maximum time of 15 minutes, after which he will also be cross-examined by the affirmative speaker for a maximum time of 8 minutes. Now, a 2-minute break or prep time is given in preparation for the questions and answers to be provided by the judges. So each judge may ask one question and a follow-up question for every participant. The participant is given a minute or 1 minute to answer the question, and the timer will start immediately after the question is completely stated by the judges. After the question and answer portion, the affirmative will start to deliver the summation as part of his closing speech. This where the participant will do his best to get the viewers and judges to sway to his side. This will be for a maximum of 5 minutes. The negative is accorded the same privilege immediately thereafter. That will conclude our debate, and then our judges will express their opinions on the statements of the participants, and they will also give their opinion on who seems to have convinced them with the points and discussion being laid down. Okay? In addition, the timer will be shown on the monitor for transparency and accuracy. Mag-buzzer ka, partner, no? After the time, no?
Yes, partner.
Time's up. Magkakaroon ng buzzer. So once the time stops, a buzzer will be heard, and we will try the micro mode will be off.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, are you ready? Okay na. We are live. No? Copying Bruce Buffer. We are live. And let's get ready to rumble. The word war begins now. Gentlemen, for the affirmative. Attorney Libayan?
Yes, hello.
Okay. Okay, for your opening speech, are you ready now? We will
Yes, I am
show
ready.
the timer. Okay,
Yes,
timer. Wait lang po. Timer. 15 minutes. Okay? Okay. Nakita na ba ni Atty. Libayan yung timer? Parang hindi ko Ayan na. Okay. Atty. Libayan, gentlemen, for the affirmative, your timer starts now.
All right. Thank you very much. And before I start, gusto ko muna pong batiin syempre yung ating mga adjudicators. Like I said, I am extremely humbled. And also Fiscal EJ, thank you very much for this opportunity. And to the hosts, Attorney Claire as moderator, thank you very much din po. Now, so I will start. And it's just fitting, I guess, that we start how actually people thought that age of sexual consent is 16 or before it was 12. Ang nangyari ho dyan is there was poisoning of the well. In relation to media and all other sources, they are showing, and please allow me to screen share, they are showing that the age of sexual consent was raised from 12 to 16. So if you can see your screen, if a simple search of the age of sexual consent in the Philippines, you will see that it's 16. And if you scroll down, everything you will see here says the age of sexual consent was raised to 16. The age of sexual consent was raised from 12 to 16. Philippine raises age of sexual consent from 12 to 16, when in fact that is not true. Why? Because we have prevailing jurisprudence, and I will show that to everyone later. That is the basis. That's our basis. Yung po dapat yung maging basehan natin. Batas, case law. Hindi po yung mga balita kung saan sila ay nagre-rely sa maling batas. Ito po kasing paglabas po nung bill na pinirmahan ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, it does not actually talk about the age of sexual consent. It is actually about statutory rape. And if you will allow me to present once again, ito po yan. The age of sexual consent is still 18. Okay, why? Ito po, no? Because a minor child still has the same definition. A minor or a child still has the same definition. What is the definition of, or who are minor children? They are people who are below 18 years of age. The confusion came actually even before Republic Act number 11648, which was enacted March 4, 2022. They said it was 12 when in fact it was not. There is a case which I'll be presenting later, the case of Pudang. And it is also worthy for us to note, tignan po natin dito, no? This act is an act promoting for stronger protection against rape and sexual exploitation. We take note of the word promoting for stronger protection. How is it, or how will this be a stronger protection when the age of sexual consent here, as they interpret it, was reduced from 18 to 16? And I will explain that to you later. Now, this is the relevant provision there. Section 3, Section 5B, 7, 9, and 10 of the Republic Act number 7610, otherwise known as Special Protection or the Child Abuse Law, it was amended as follows. Section 5, and if you allow me to read, child protection and other sexual abuse. Children, whether male or female, who for money, profit, or any other consideration, or due to coercion or influence of an adult. I would like to emphasize on that one. Influence of an adult. Syndicate or group indulged in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct are deemed to be children exploited in prostitution and other sexual abuse. So, pag titingnan po natin dito, it is clear na dito, sa batas na ito, actually, they are not talking about consent. They are talking about the immateriality of consent because it raised the age wherein a person will be liable for this one. statutory rape and statutory acts of lasciviousness. Okay, so now that we know what happened here, let's move on. 18 is the age of sexual consent. That was enshrined in Malta versus People, GR number 16473. It was decided on September 21, 2007. It said there, unequivocally, consent of the child is immaterial in criminal cases involving violation of Section 5, Article 3 of Republic Act 7610. It was further said in People of the Philippines versus Udang, GR number 16473, January 10, 2018. The same statement. Consent of the child is immaterial in criminal cases involving Section 5, Article 3 of Republic Act 7610. Okay, so in this particular case, there is a statement that we can actually say that age of sexual consent is 18. So how come that when this Republic Act number 11648 was promulgated or became a law, age of sexual consent became 12 to 16, when in fact January 10, 2018, 18 po siya. Kasi nga ang bata, sinabi dito, hindi siya pwedeng magbigay ng consent kasi magiging sexual abuse ito. Okay? Ngayon, that is the general rule. The general rule is 18 is the age of sexual consent. Now, there is the Tulagan case. The Tulagan case is the one that are trying to say that abandoned the Udang case. The citation of this one is People versus Philippines. People of the Philippines versus Tulagan, GR number 223363, March 12, 2019. It's later than the Udang case, and here it has an exception. Okay, this is the exception that they are saying that the Udang that they are using, saying that the Udang case is not applicable anymore, but it is actually still applicable. I will quote from the case itself. It says here, we take exception, however, to the sweeping conclusions in Malto that a child is presumed by law to be incapable of giving rational consent to any lascivious conduct or sexual abuse, and that consent of the child is immaterial in criminal cases involving violation of Section 5, Article 3 of Republic Act 7610. What is the reason for the exception? Please take note, this is an exception because they would virtually eradicate the concepts of statutory rape and statutory acts of lasciviousness and trample upon the express provisions of the law. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how did this Tulagan case overturn or abandon the Udang case? It did not. 18 is still the age of sexual consent, and I have another case to show you. Here, let's continue. It says here, however, considering the definition under Section 3, Republic Act number 7610 in the term children, which refers to persons below 18 years of age, are those over but are unable to fully take care of themselves to protect themselves from abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, or discrimination, blah, 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 blah. Okay? In Malto, they said there is a sweeping statement. In this particular case, they said consent may be material and actually it can be used as a defense. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is merely a defense. Now let's go to the next one. And people of the Philippines versus Udang, okay, there was only made an exception. The rule is still for the protection of the children, for the best interest of the child. So it says here, a child cannot give consent to a contract under our civil laws. This is on the rationale that she can easily be the victim of fraud as she is not capable of fully understanding or knowing the nature or import of her actions. The state, as parents patrae, is under the obligation to minimize the risk of harm to those who, because of their minority, are as yet unable to take care of themselves fully. Those tender years deserve its protection. Also, it says here, for this reason, a child should not be deemed to have validly consented to adult sexual activity and to surrender herself in the act of ultimate physical intimacy under a law which seeks to afford her special protection against abuse, exploitation, and discrimination. So that's it. Now, here, even if the parents of the child, even if the child himself or herself gives consent, the state can prosecute. Because it says here, the child or the state can intervene in behalf of a child when the parents, guardian, teacher, or person having care or custody of the child fails to or unable to protect the child against abuse. Now, this is my last nail on the coffin. This is a later case. It's June 14, 2021. It is the case of De La Cruz versus People of the Philippines, GR number 245516. It says here, further, a child is deemed subject to other sexual abuse under Section 5 of Republic Act number 7610 when the child is subjected to lascivious conduct under the coercion and influence of any adult. Ladies and gentlemen, this is June 14, 2021. The Tulagan case is 2019. Case law clarifies that intimidation need not necessarily be irresistible. It is sufficient that some compulsion equivalent to intimidation annuls or subdues the free exercise of the will of the offended party. This is especially true in the case of young, innocent, and immature girls who could not be expected to act with equanimity of disposition and the nerves of steel. Young girls cannot be expected to act like adults under the same circumstances to have the courage, intelligence to disregard the threat. Ladies and gentlemen, children cannot engage validly sexual consent because adults. And ladies and gentlemen, it also said in this particular case, it cannot be denied that the presence of coercion and intimidation is attendant in this case. As aptly found by the RTC and the CA, the fact that the accused is a subject teacher of AA played a great role for the latter to satisfy the Starly desires. As laid down, ladies and gentlemen, these are the most important matters in this case. And in relation to my position, as laid down in People versus Erojo, the court and People versus Clado, the court has determined that the vast difference in age between the victim and the offender is indicative of coercion and intimidation. Now, the Supreme Court also said clearly, a minor was vulnerable and would have been easily intimidated by an attacker who is not only a grown man, but is also someone exercising moral influence or ascendancy over her. It is doctrinal that moral influence or ascendancy takes the place of violence and intimidation. Now let's go back to the case. Republic Act number 11648. Like I said, it does not speak or talk about age of sexual consent. It talks about immateriality of consent. And the cases that I gave you clearly says that the age of sexual consent is 18. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the gentleman for the affirmative. We would like to call the gentleman for the negative for the cross-examination. 8 minutes will be allocated for this. Gentleman for the negative, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir. Madam.
Okay. We will just place the timer. 8 minutes.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay. For a while po, fiscal.
Okay po.
Okay
Okay
na?
po.
Okay. Your timer starts now.
Good afternoon, team judges. My first question is,
For a while po,
The
fiscal.
2000
Fiscal, sandali po. Lagyan lang po natin yung timer para po may guide.
okay
Okay na.
po.
Your timer starts now, sir.
My first question is, the 2000 Udang case was decided by the 3rd Division, correct?
Well,
Yes or no
actually,
only?
I'm not familiar if it's the 3rd division. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But if
Let me
it's the
proceed
3rd
to my next
division-
question. Okay.
Okay.
You are not aware that the 2019 Tulagan case was decided by the Supreme Court en banc. Are you aware of that?
Sorry.
Are you aware that the 2019 Tulagan case was decided by the Supreme Court en banc?
Well,
You are not aware?
yes.
Just say you're aware. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to inform you, Panero, that the 2018 Udang case was decided only by a division, the 3rd division. Now, of course, as a lawyer, you are aware that a decision rendered by a division can be modified or reversed by a decision rendered en banc, correct?
Yes.
Yes or no only? That's a very categorical question.
He answered yes, sir. I heard it.
Okay. Now, do you also agree that the pronouncement in Udang was just taken verbatim from the decision in Malto?
Yes.
And with respect to the new case that you brought up, was that decided by a division or decided en banc?
Why is that material? Let me check.
Do not ask me. I'm asking you.
Well, I
Waiting up-
did not actually see if it is decided by a division or en banc.
Okay, so you are also aware that even with that new decision, assuming it is decided by a division, you are aware that a decision rendered en banc cannot be modified or reversed by a decision rendered only by a division, correct?
Can you come again?
Are you aware that a decision rendered en banc cannot be modified or reversed by a decision rendered only by a division? You are not aware of that, Panero?
A decision by a division can be modified by a decision of the Supreme Court en banc.
There is a decision
is that
en
what you're
banc.
saying?
Okay, let me repeat. There is a decision en banc. Do you agree that a decision en banc cannot be reversed or modified by a decision rendered only by a division? Do
Of
you agree
course,
to that
of course.
statement? Okay. Now, off to another topic. Do you believe, Panero, that before an accused can be convicted of sexual abuse under Section 5B of RA 7610, the prosecution must first prove that the child was subjected to the coercion or influence of an adult syndicate or group, correct?
Yes, as an element of the
Oh.
crime.
So if there was no coercion or influence of an adult syndicate or group, there would be no violation, correct?
Yes.
And the consent of the child would be material because since there was no coercion or influence coming from an adult, then she could validly give consent to such sexual act, correct?
Well, I have to disagree with that one. I
Okay, let me-
cited several cases already.
Okay, let me proceed to my next question. Of course, it is your stand that the age of sexual consent is always 18, correct?
Yes.
In fact, you even said that there is a Supreme Court decision that states that the age of sexual consent was never 12 and that it was always 18, correct?
Sorry? Was that part of my presentation?
You're talking about sexual consent, Panyero. This is in
Yes.
relation to your claim that the age of sexual consent is 18. So this is very material.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, what is that SC decision that you claim that the age of sexual consent was always 18?
Was 18 is the Udang case and the Malto case.
In the 22-minute and 8-second mark of your live stream on March 7, 2022, you said, and I quote, meron tayong video na ganun eh. Balikan nyo yun. May sinight ako na batas doon na sinabi ng Supreme Court na it was never 12 and it was always 18. Is that referring to the Odang case, Banyero?
Well,
The Supreme Court?
I think that's not part of this debate already because that's my live stream.
That's not for you to judge, Panyero. I am asking, you are under cross. This is actually related to your claim that the age of sexual consent is 18.
Yes, it's
Okay.
it's 18. But when it comes to like Supreme Court decisions, saying in verbatim that 12, it was never 12 and it is 18, it's not a direct quote when I said that in the live stream. And I didn't say that here. In fact, what I said here was what they said and not what the Supreme Court said.
Plus you
That's
who
why
claimed-
I also
There was-
showed you. I
Okay.
also showed you clips and search results.
Let me just proceed to my next question, Panyero. Now,
Okay.
You said that the general rule is 18 and the exception is 16. What is your basis for saying that?
I did not say the exception is 16. I did not say the exception is, there can be exceptions. Just like what they said in the Tulagan case. I think you must misunderstood what I said. I didn't say 16 is the exception. There can be exceptions. Like what they did in the Tulagan case.
By the way, is it your stand that the legal age of 18 is also the age of sexual consent?
Well, that's what I'm trying to prove here.
Okay.
18 is the age of sexual consent.
Okay. Let me proceed to my next question. In relation to your claim that 18, the legal age, is also the age of sexual consent, what is your basis for saying that 18 as the legal age is also the age of sexual consent? Can you cite a particular law that says?
No, well, I did not say that the legal age. You are conflating both of them.
You just admitted a while ago. Panyero. You cannot deny that now.
Well,
That-
okay, the legal age being the same number.
Okay, the cross-examination for the negative, gentleman for the negative is already done. It's already time's up. So we have to be ready for the opening speech or rebuttal of the gentleman for the negative. But before that, we will give a break time or prep time of 2 minutes.
Alright mga kasama, 52 minutes past the hour of 4. We'll take a short break. Wag ho kayong aalis, tuloy-tuloy po ang ating debate ngayong hapon. Dito pa rin sa The Debate, Age of Legal Consent mga kasama. Sa pagbabalik ng DZXL, Usapang Batas Special. The Debate, Usapang Batas Special. Oras po natin, 53 minutos makalipas ang alas 4.
That time check was brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified, world-class quality.
ACS
That time check was brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified world-class quality. That news was brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified world-class quality.
Para di madaling masira ang ngipin ng pamilya, ngayon pa lang,
Unique toothpaste for brushing every after kumain.
dahil ang unique toothpaste, may Max Protect formula.
Ngipin ay Max Alaga, Max Protektado pa.
Helps stop cavities even before they start, while keeping breath fresh with regular use.
Unique toothpaste for brushing para siguraduhin. Ngipin ay Max Alaga, Max Protektado pa. Unique
Max Alaga, Max Protectado with unique toothpaste maximum fluoride protection. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing. ISO certified world-class quality.
Santon Plus Herbal Capsule.
Ako si Jessa, 25 years old. Dati may leukemia ako. Kasabay sa pag-take ko ng aking mga gamot, ang Santon Plus Herbal Capsule. Ang laking tulong talaga ng Santon Plus. And finally, I'm a leukemia survivor.
Santon Plus. Mabibili sa mga butika.
Sa Metro Manila, DZXL.
Radyo Trabaho.
DZXL.
Ang tunay na gabay sa hanap buhay. The Debate. Usapang Batas Special. Mga kasama, tayo ay nagbabalik dito pa rin sa The Debate Usapang Batas Special. Painit ng painit, mga kasama, ang ating debate. Kayo ho ba ang ating mga nanonood sa ating YouTube at sa ating Facebook? Okay, paalala lang po, wala hong mga hindi magandang komento ang pupwede hong i-post sa ating YouTube at sa ating Facebook comment section. Opo, at kung pupwede ho, paki-subscribe ang aming DZXL News YouTube channel at paki-like ang aming Facebook DZXL News. Na bueno, mga kasama, akin pong iti-turn over uli sa ating moderators, sa ating debate ngayong hapon. Walang iba kundi ang ating abogada ng bayan na si Atty. Claire Castro.
Yes, thank you very much, partner. I hope the gentleman for the negative is already ready. We will give you 15 minutes. Are you ready, Fiscal? Your timer starts now.
Okay. Good afternoon again, Ms. Moderator, to our judges, to the people watching, and most especially to Atty. Libayan. Before anything else, I want everyone to listen to what my worthy opponent said in this video.
Manila, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has signed into law a bill raising the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16 when in fact it was never 12. Kabubuhan yung mga tao nagsasabi doon o kaya mga pedophiles ang mga taong nagsasabi doon. Kalokohan yun. Sabi niya,
I'm sorry, but labeling us as pedophiles is an unfair and outrageous statement, especially coming from a lawyer who has 500,000 subscribers under his spell. I am here to tell everyone, especially to Atty. Libayan, that we are not the pedophiles you unfairly picture us to be. Yes, we believe that 16 is the age of sexual consent, not because we are pedophiles or PDF file protectors, as you sarcastically call us, but because this is what the law and jurisprudence so provide. And contrary to what you want to impress upon your audience, hindi po ito usapin tungkol sa pagkakraft ng batas. Debate po ito tungkol sa ano ang nakasaad sa batas, 18 ba or 16, at yan po ang dapat nating pag-usapan. So ano ba talaga ang age of sexual consent? It is that age where a minor can rationally decide for himself or herself whether or not to engage in any sexual activity with another person. Unang punto po, when we talk about age of sexual consent, it should always refer to a minor. It does not refer to a person of legal age. There is no question, and it was never an issue, that a person of legal age can validly give consent to a sexual act. And why do I say that the age of sexual consent should always refer to a minor? No less than the Supreme Court in Bangayan versus People GR number 235610, September 16, 2020, declared that the capacity to give sexual consent refers to individuals between 12 and below 18. Kaya mali po ang sinasabing 18 ni Ginoong Libayan. Malinaw pa sa sikat ng araw na ang sexual consent ay tumutukoy lamang sa isang menor de edad. Before it was 12, now it is 16 pursuant to RA 11648. Having established that the term age of sexual consent should refer only to a minor and not to a person of legal age, this leads me to point number 2, and that is, it is erroneous for Attorney Libayan to assert that 18 is the general rule, or he already denied it earlier, that 16 is only the exception. 18 po cannot be the general rule because magkaiba ang konsepto ng consent under civil law sa konsepto ng sexual consent under criminal law. Hindi po pwedeng pagsamahin ang dalawang magkaibang konsepto. Sabi nga dito sa Bangayan case, these two concepts are distinct from each other and have differing legal implications. It cannot be applied to consent within the context of sexual predation. Bakit magkaiba? Yung 18 kasi ay tumutukoy lamang sa aspetong civil ng buhay ng tao. Pag 18 ka na, you can now enter into marriage, sign contracts, or buy and sell your own property. Pwede ka nang pumasok sa anumang legal na kontrata. But the act of a minor in giving sexual consent does not pertain to any contract in the context of civil law. It merely involves a minor's rational decision to submit herself or himself to a private sexual act or sexual activity for purposes of sexual pleasure. Hindi po pumapasok sa kontrata ang isang menor de edad pag nakikipagtalik siya sa ibang tao. There is no contract that is created when a 16-year-old minor, for example, decides to have sex with another person. Considering that we cannot apply consent as a concept in civil law to criminal cases, it is therefore wrong to say that 18 is the general rule and 16 the exception. Point number 3. Like a damsel in distress, Atty. Libayan relies heavily on the Udang case as his knight in shining armor. Sinabi po kasi sa Udang that a child is presumed by law to be incapable of giving rational consent. But this sweeping and confusing pronouncement has been junked by the subsequent en banc decision in People versus Tulagan. Ano ba ang sinabi ng Supreme Court sa Tulagan case? Maling-mali raw yung sinabi sa Udang na walang kakayahan ang isang bata na magbigay ng sexual consent. Instead, the Supreme Court in that case recognized the capacity of a child to give sexual consent. As a matter of fact, ang kakayahan ng bata na magbigay ng sexual consent ay pwede pa nga itong gawing depensa ng mga taong kinakasuhan ng child prostitution at sexual abuse. You might wonder, Piskal, bakit palagi mong sinasambit na 12 ang age of sexual consent? Sabi mo 16. At the time po kasi the Tulagan case was promulgated, 12 was still the age of sexual consent. Now it is 16 pursuant to RA 11648. The amendment, take note, in RA 11648 is a mere mathematical increase from 12 to 16. It did not modify the principles laid down in Bangayan and Tulagan about age of sexual consent. To repeat, hindi na po prevailing jurisprudence ang Udang. Binasura na po ang kaisa-isang jurisprudence na pinanghawakan ng aking panyero. Sabi nga ni Panyero, without valid citations, medyo alanganin. Di ba, Panyero? It is also quite laughable that despite the clear pronouncements in Bangayan and Tulagan, Atty. Libayan would seek refuge in the phrase, "we take exception" to the sweeping conclusion, as if to say that 16 is only an exception. Wrong again po. With all due respect, this is a lame excuse bordering on absurdity. You know why? The phrase "take exception" is an idiomatic expression lang po that simply means to object to something or to express disagreement with something. The Supreme Court therefore simply objected to the sweeping statement. It did not expressly or impliedly create a general rule and an exception. Yung apat na punto, what then is the age of sexual consent? Under RA 11648 that amended the provisions of both the RPC and RA 7610, there is no doubt that 16 is used as the threshold age. When we say 16 is the threshold age, kinikilala po ng batas na may sapat ng kakayahan ang isang 16-year-old minor na mag-decide para sa kanyang sarili kung papasok ba siya sa isang sexual na relasyon. Pag below 16 ka, kahit na ikaw pa ang may gusto, the law presumes that your consent is immaterial because of your presumed incapacity to discern right from wrong. My worthy opponent claims that RA 11648 does not refer to age of sexual consent because according to him, obvious daw sa title pa lang na it refers only to statutory rape. But the title of the law is not the law itself. It is a rule in statutory construction that the meaning of the law must be determined from the language of the statute as a whole and from a general consideration of the words used in this law. The intention of the law is to make 16 years of age as the reference point in determining the validity of a minor's consent to sexual acts. You can readily observe the same po in Section 1. Please look at the underlined portions on rape, Section 2 on qualified and simple seduction, and Section 3 on child prostitution and other sexual abuse. Hindi lang po rape ang subject matter ng RA 11648 gaya ng sabi ni Atty. Libayan. May mga nagsasabi rin na hindi raw tumutukoy sa age of sexual consent ang RA 11648 dahil hindi raw expressly nakasulat ang words na age of sexual consent. Wala ka talagang mababasa dahil ang term na age of sexual consent is actually a term born out of judicial interpretation. Prior to the enactment of RA 11648, there is already a judicial pronouncement that the age of sexual consent is 12, which is now 16 as can be gleaned from the rulings in Bangayan and Tulagan. And to those who are stubbornly insisting on the 18 bandwagon, let me throw the question back to you. Is there a law that specifically states that 18 is the age of sexual consent? Is there a Supreme Court decision that states that the age of sexual consent was never 12 and it's still not 16? There is none. Zero po. I only heard that from my compañero who unfortunately does not represent the Supreme Court. What is ironic po is that my opponent who claimed in one of his live streams that he has never heard of 12 being the age of sexual consent and who still claims to this day that it was never 12 and it's still not 16, debunked himself when in another live stream, he even read the separate concurring opinion of Justice Leonen in the Tulagan case, recognizing and acknowledging that the age of sexual consent is 12, which is now 16 under RA 11648.
Okay. Tama. O, bago tayo pumunta doon, tama nga pala yung citation ko, no? GR number 227363. Ito yun. Hindi ko alam kung bakit hindi ko ma-search kanina. Ang haba kasi nito. The age of sexual consent in the Philippines is 12 years old, period. Diba? According to the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, this is one of the lowest globally and lowest in the Asia-Pacific region. The average age of consent is 16 years old. Diba? The age of majority, however, is 18 years old. Minors or those below 18 have no capacity to enter any contracts or marriage. Yet, strictly reading the provisions of the revised penal code, any minor above 12 years old may validly consent to sexual intercourse and lascivious conduct with an adult.
Number 5. The passage of RA 11648 likewise reflects the legislative intent setting 16 as the threshold age for giving sexual consent. No less than Senator Ontiveros, the principal author herself, categorically acknowledges that RA 11648 was passed for the purpose of raising the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16. Tinawag niya pa ngang Age of Sexual Consent Act, ang RA 11648. The passage of the said law is also actually in line with the recommendation of the 2016 UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women and the recommendation of the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child to raise the age of consent in the Philippines from 12 to 16. Ano ba ang significance ng mga UN conventions na ito? The Philippines, being a signatory to these conventions, it cannot neglect its international obligation to put into fruition the recommendation of these committees to raise the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16. These recommendations are the reason why RA 11648 was passed into law po. So nakita nyo na, United Nations na ang nagsabi na 16 dapat ang age of sexual consent. Take note, 16, hindi po 18. So kung tama yung paniniwala ni Panyero na 18 dapat, bakit 16 yung inirekomenda ng iba't ibang delegasyon ng mga eksperto na nagtataguyod sa kapakanan ng mga bata at kababaihan? With these categorical pronouncements in Bangayan and Tulagan, coupled with the clear mandate of RA 11648 and backed up by the said UN conventions, there is no doubt in my mind that truth is on my side. Hindi pala kami ang fake news. Back to you, Ms. Moderator.
Thank you very much to the gentleman for the negative. Okay, we will give time to Atty. Libayan for his cross-examination. Are you ready, Atty. Libayan, gentleman for the affirmative? Are you ready for the cross-examination?
Yes po, I am ready.
Okay, we will give you 8 minutes for a while po. Okay na? Okay, your cross-examination starts now.
Okay. My first question is, you read in the Tulagan case that consent can be a defense, right?
Yes, yes.
That means if you have sex with a minor, you can be sued and use that as a defense, right?
Yes.
My point there is you can still be sued. Correct?
Does it matter? It does not prove your point.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, you said that the concepts of the consent in civil law and the concept of giving sexual consent is different, correct?
Yes.
But the number can be the same, right?
Pardon? Come again?
But the number can be the same.
I am sorry, I do not get your question, Attorney Libayan. Can you repeat the question?
What I mean is the age of sexual consent and the legal age in giving consent in relation to civil obligations can be the same number, meaning 18, correct?
I already pointed out that there is no question and it is not an issue that a person of legal age can validly give consent to a sexual act. That's not the issue.
Please, just answer yes or no if the number can be the same.
Yes, with qualification.
Okay. Also here in you mentioned, you said that Tulagan overturned or abandoned utang, correct?
Yes, precisely.
But you also said, and you also read that it only took exception of the sweeping statements, right?
You have different meanings to take so I don't agree
yes
to your...
Or no, yes
I
or
don't
no.
agree.
May we ask the gentleman for the negative to answer?
No.
If the question is answerable by yes or no, kindly answer yes or no.
No.
Okay. Now, I will read to you the exceptions. One moment. The exceptions are in relation to the sweeping conclusions that a child is presumed by law to be incapable of giving rational consent. Right? And that consent of a child is immaterial in criminal cases, correct?
No, I don't agree.
Those are the only matters
Sure,
that
that's your
were
point of
taken.
view, Attorney Libayan. You cannot force me to admit. That's your point of view.
So the answer is no, Attorney Libayan.
Okay.
Move on.
Okay. Now, you also said that, well, let's go back to the civil definition and the sexual consent. Civil consent and sexual consent. In Udang, it was said that, one moment. The harm which results from a child's bad decision in a sexual encounter may be infinitely more damaging to her than a bad business deal. Now, do you agree with me that the Supreme Court in saying this is implying that more protection should be given to a person engaging in sexual intercourse than a person who is engaging in business? Yes or no?
No, I don't agree because
just answer yes or no. So you don't agree that when the Supreme Court said the harm which results from a child's bad decision in a sexual
Sir, you can do that maybe during...
allow me to explain also.
I-cut muna yung time, stop muna. May you can do that, sir, during the closing speech, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in De La Cruz versus People of the Philippines, GR number 245516, June 14, 2021, the court said there that the age or the age gap actually is material, because if there is vast difference in age between the victim and the offender is indicative of coercion and intimidation. Do you agree with that?
I agree, but that is not the only factor in determining the validity of the consent of a child.
Okay, just answer yes or no. Okay, my question again to you. For example, there are people in the room ages 12 to 16, and they ask you, 16 to 60, 16 to 60, and they ask you what is the youngest age of a person wherein I can have sexual intercourse with. What is your answer? Their age is from 16 to 60, and they ask you what is the minimum age of the person that they can have sex with. What's your answer?
Of course, I will answer the very obvious. 16 years old, because that is the age of sexual consent.
So you will answer, okay, just like that. You will answer 16, disregarding the fact that even if there is a vast difference in age between the victim and the offender, it is indicative of coercion and intimidation. Like I
said, that's not the only factor to consider. That's not the only factor to consider. No.
Okay. Now, do you agree that in the Udang case, it said there that the age of sexual consent is 18?
I don't agree. Definitely not.
You do not agree. Okay. Now, in the Udang case, do you agree? Did the Udang case alone, do you agree that there it said that a minor cannot give sexual consent?
No, because the Udang case has been junked by the Tulagan case already.
No. Well, and in relation to your questions about NBank and Supreme NBank decisions and division decisions, do you agree with me that the Supreme Court, even if it decided in NBank and in divisions, they still form part of the law of the land.
Yes, but with qualification.
Okay. Now,
Thank you very much to the two gentlemen. And now we will have a break again, a maximum of 2 minutes for the our judges to throw questions to the two opponents or two adversaries. Okay, so we will have a break.
Alright, mga kasama, ang mainit na sagupaan. Kaugnay sa ating usapin patungkol sa age of legal consent, mga kasama, 18 o 16 ay magpapatuloy dito pa rin sa ating special presentation ng programang Usapang Batas, ang The Debate. Pero bago tayo maghahanabuhay, please subscribe, mga kasama, ang aming YouTube channel, DZXL News, at ang aming Facebook, ang DZXL News. Pakilike po, at syempre, huwag kalimutang makinig parati dito sa DZXL 558 RMN Manila. It's 19 minutes past the hour of 5. Magbabalik pa rin, mga kasama, ang Usapang Batas Special, ang The Debate. The Debate. The Debate. Usapang Batas Special.
That time check was brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified world-class quality. ACS. That time check was brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified world-class quality. ACS. That news was brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified world-class quality. ACS.
Sunflower Vitamin C, ang alkaline na vitamin C.
Ako si Eric. Dati ang hina ng katawan ko. Maambunan lang ng konti, nagkakatrangkaso na agad ako. Pero after ko mag-take ng Sunflower Vitamin C regularly, malakas na ang katawan ko.
Sunflower Vitamin C, ang alkaline na vitamin C. Mabili sa pinakamalapit na butika sa inyong lugar.
Si Mommy at si Washing Machine believe sa Pride Washing Machine Detergent.
Hello, Washi!
Hello, Mommy!
Laundry day na naman! Ready ka na sa mancha, chocolate, putik, libag?
Kaya yan ang Pride Washing Machine Detergent. May triple stain-away formula. Tanggal ang makapit, madikit, at malupit na dumit mancha. Easy ang labada.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon.
All you need is pride. All you need is pride.
Pride Detergent, manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified, world-class quality.
ACS. Hello, beautiful people! Ako po ang inyong tita Winnie Cordero. Matanong po ninyo, bakit panatag ang loob ko sa MX3? Dahil ito ay tested and proven na may alpha, beta at gamma mangosteen, mga natural na nutrients mula sa mangosteen. Meron din itong seal of quality excellence at manufactured sa GMP at ISO certified na planta. MX3 is my choice. Tunay, natural at original.
Mahalagang paalala, ang MX3 capsule ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Sa panahon ngayon, kau ba'y sigurado? Kau ba'y protektado? Ang pamilya ay i-shield mo.
Laban sa bakterya,
I-shield mo.
laban ng pati virus,
I-shield mo.
Shield Bath Soap. Patay ang 99.9% of bacteria and virus tested. Bilib ang mga eksperto sa Philippine Nurses Association.
sa sakit protektado,
I-shield mo.
pamilya'y protektado,
I-shield mo.
Shield Bath Soap. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified world-class quality.
Santon Plus Herbal Capsule.
Ako si Joseph. 5 years na akong Santon Plus Herbal Capsule user. Walang ibang gamot na nakapagpagaling sa aking cirrhosis of the liver, kundi Santon Plus Herbal Capsule lang. The best talaga.
Santon Plus Herbal Capsule. Mabibili sa mga butika.
RMN sa Metro Manila, DZXL.
Radyo Trabaho.
DZXL.
Ang tunay na gabay sa hanap buhay. The Debate. The Debate. Usapang Batas Special. Alright, mga kasama, tayo nagbabalik dito pa rin sa ating special presentation ng The Debate. At balikan natin uli ang ating moderator, mga kasama. Walang iba kundi ang ating nag-iisang abogado ng bayan na si Atty. Claire Castro. Partner?
Yes, oo. Gusto ko lang malaman ng mga viewers natin and listeners, ang papel po ng isang moderator ay para po maging maayos yung flow ng debate natin. Kung tayo man po ay papasok in the middle of pagtatanungan or during the cross-examination, it's because meron po kasi tayong timer.
Yeah.
So, yung mga, hindi naman unnecessary, but yung hindi po kasama sa tanong, pag kasi you are being asked a question answerable by yes or no, mag-yes or no lang. Ganun din naman po talaga sa court.
Yeah.
And then, you will be given time during the closing speech, yung kumbaga, i-rebat nyo yung bawat isa, doon nyo po ma-explain. And you will be given 5 minutes. So, doon po sa mga, ito lang yung nakapag-start lang, kaya po tayo pumapasok is para maging smooth yung flow. Hindi po tayo nakikialam dahil wala naman po tayong kinakampihan dito. So, sana po maintindihan nyo po, even in courtroom po, ganyan po. Kahit po si judge na nakikinig, tapos mag-explain po yung iba, pero answerable by yes or no, especially during the cross-examination, papatigilin po talaga kayo ng judge, at sasabihin na you answer yes or no. So, yun po yung proseso po talaga. So, wag nyo pong isipin na negatibo po yung ating ginagawa, being the moderator. And now, we are now to the question and answer portion. And I would like to call, of course, the beauty muna before anything else, di ba? May we call on Justice Tess Teresita Baldos.
Yes, thank you.
Apo.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Claire.
Apo, you do not have any timer for your question, but the participant will be given 1 minute to answer your question. And then after your question po, and you have the follow-up question for regarding his answer, you can do so po. Okay po? Okay.
Thank you.
We will call on first gentleman for the affirmative.
For the affirmative side.
Opo, for the affirmative side, Attorney Libayan.
Okay.
Ika lang po, tawagin natin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Opo, we will, okay po.
Okay. Attorney Libayan, your stand that the age of sexual consent is 18 is based basically on Republic Act 7610, right?
Yes, Your Honor. And some of the cases that I have cited.
Okay. Now, in Section 3 of 7610, the term children is defined as 18 years of age, right? And that is basically where you base your stand.
Minor, below 18 years of
18,
age.
It's 18, yes, 18 years of age. Children are considered those below 18 years of age.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you...
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. In the same definition of terms of 7610, which seeks to protect children against child abuse, there are 6 instances which are enumerated there. Can you tell me under which of these circumstances or instances can sexual consent be interpreted to mean?
Well, I would like to direct Your Honor to Section 5 because it says here, child protection and other sexual abuse. It used the term children, whether male or female, who for money, profit, or any other consideration or due to the coercion or influence of an adult syndicate or group indulge in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct are deemed to be children exploited in prostitution and other sexual abuse. In this particular section, Your Honor, it said that a child who is influenced by an adult is deemed as a person who is sexually abused.
But this concerns child. The section that you cited concerns child prostitution, right?
Yes. No,
So
not
that is-
only child prostitution,
No.
Your Honor, also sexual abuse.
Because sexual abuse is covered. Yeah, child prostitution, sexual abuse. So this means that this is for self-gratification or for as a means of occupation for earning money, right? And not where consent is vitiated. Am I correct?
No, Your Honor, because it says there.
We will
and
give Atty.
other
Libayan
sexual
30
abuse.
seconds to answer
So
the question. 30 seconds, Atty. Libayan.
Specifically, yes, Your Honor, it said child prostitution and other sexual abuse. So it is very broad, Your Honor. So it's not only about prostitution.
Okay, so my turn is up.
Yes, Justice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Teresita Baldos. And now we will be calling Justice Alfredo Ampuan to ask questions to the gentleman for the affirmative.
Thank you. Am
Yes
I
po.
clear?
Yes po.
Now, I will just ask my question to both the affirmative and the negative. Is
Justice,
allowed?
affirmative muna po. Apa.
Parehas eh. Okay, affirmative. Did you mention any jurisprudence that was promulgated by the Supreme Court in relation to sexual intercourse consented by a 16-year-old and below?
I did not, Your
Consented
Honor,
sexual
because
relations of a 16 and below. Is there any mention about
no,
it?
Your Honor,
There was no
I
jurisprudence.
did not present any, yes, Your Honor, jurisprudence in relation to that. I presented jurisprudence wherein a person was convicted. Even if
But we're talking about
the-
consent here, is it not? We are talking about consent
Yes.
here, is it not? And are you aware of the provision of Republic Act 11648, particularly the Section 1? Yeah? That a 16-year-old may give consent to a sexual intercourse provided that the partner must not be more than 3 years older than her. And
I'm
the
aware of that.
victim must
I'm
not-
aware of that, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. But that,
It
like
talks about-
my
it
position,
talks
Your
ab-
Honor.
Yeah, it talks about clearly. It talks about consent clearly, is it not?
Yes, Your Honor. But my position, Your Honor, is those are exceptions.
Exception.
Yes, Your
But
Honor.
we're talking about a 16-year-old, but not under 13.
Yes, Your Honor. But that is an
She can
exception.
give consent. She can give consent, provided that the partner must not be 3 years older than her. Is that
Yes, Your
not
Honor. As a
clear?
matter of exception. As a
So it
matter of
talks about
exception, Your Honor.
consent.
Yes, Your Honor. Can I elaborate, Your Honor?
You can. So you would like
Well,
to elaborate the law? You would like to elaborate the law?
No, Your Honor. I would like to give an example, Your Honor, why my position is 18 years old, because it is the general rule, Your Honor. Like for example, in the application of criminal laws, Your Honor, the general rule.
So are you
it is-
saying that this is a special law? Because you're talking about general
No,
law?
Your Honor. It is an exception, Your Honor. The court. My position is the court, Your Honor, can make
So
exceptions.
if it is an exception,
if
it will
is-
prevail. If it is an
Sorry, Your
exception,
Honor.
as you said, it will prevail. Correct?
Your Honor, if it is present in the particular case, then it will prevail. But it is not the general rule, Your Honor.
It's very clear. It's very clear that 16-year-old and below can give consent, provided
Yes,
he must not be under
as a matter of
13 years old.
exception, yes, Your
We
Honor.
will give Atty. Libayan 30
As a
minutes,
matter of
30 seconds to wrap up.
Okay, proceed.
Atty. Libayan, 30 seconds.
So just like what I said, Your Honor, if we compare it to the prospectivity of the application of criminal laws, the general rule is criminal laws are only applicable prospectively. The exception is if it is beneficial to the accused. So 18, Your Honor, is the general rule and there are other exceptions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Justice Ampuan. Thank you for that questions. And now we would like to call the Chief Adjudicator, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr.
Yes, thank you, Attorney Claire. Let me first congratulate Attorney Randy Libayan for boldly taking the affirmative stand, no, and expounding on his argument. No? Attorney Libayan, the claim that the age of consent is now 16 is because of the passage of Republic Act 116481. Is that correct? And
Yes, Your Honor.
according to you, it is because of those giving opinions, no, that this law resulted in the increase of the age of consent from 12 to 16, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
No? And that according to you, these people are poisoning the well.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, this law was signed by the President on March 4, 2002. No? I think
Yes, Your Honor.
one of the sponsors is the Senate President himself, no? Senator Miguel Subiri. No? Okay. After the signing by the President on March 4, 2022, the Senate issued an official press release, stating that Republic Act 116481, no, raises the age of consent from 12 to 16, no, and it even quoted
Yes, I saw that, Your Honor.
Senate President that from now on, nobody can claim that having sex with a kid, the word used is kid, below 16, gave consent. No? My question is, what is your take on that official press release of the Philippine Senate which passed the law?
My take on that, Your Honor, is it's inaccurate. Because first and foremost, when they said that they raised the age of sexual consent from 12 to 18, it does not follow already, Your Honor. Because as enshrined in the Odang case and the early case of Malto, it said a child cannot give sexual consent unequivocally. So it means, Your Honor, that there is no rising of the age of consent. It was actually reduced from 18 to 16 because of the existence of the Odang and the Malto case, Your Honor. So it is already inaccurate and wrong to say that it was raised from 12 to 16. And Your Honor, the that Republic Act 11648, Your Honor, if we can see in the title, it is affording greater protection. If I may, Your Honor,
You have 30 seconds, Attorney Libayan, to wrap up.
The title, an act promoting for stronger protection against rape and sexual exploitation and abuse, increasing the age of determining the commission of statutory rape, amending for the purpose of this act, blah, 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 Your Honor. So if it is promoting for stronger protection, it should have been, it's not, it is impossible, Your Honor, that protection or stronger protection was given if the age of sexual consent was reduced from 18 to 16.
Okay, so that,
Even
that
if,
was
for
the
example,
official, that
we
was the
will-
official statement of the Philippine Senate following the
Yes, Your Honor.
signing into law of Republic Act 116481. We're saying now that there is something wrong with that official statement.
Based on the jurisprudence, Your Honor, based on case law, I think that statement is inaccurate, Your Honor.
30 seconds to wrap up, Attorney Libayan.
Well, like I said, Your Honor, Malto versus People of the Philippines was promulgated September 21, 2007. And it says there, consent of the child is immaterial in criminal cases involving violation of Section 5, Article 3 of Republic Act 7610. And it was again reiterated in the Utang case, January 10, 2018. And Your Honor, the Tulagan case that my opponent is saying, Your Honor, did not actually overturn this, but only took exceptions of the sweeping conclusion.
Thank you very much, Atty. Libayan.
Thank you, Atty. Libayan. I said that's a boldly taking the affirmative stance, no? Okay.
Very bold.
Thank you very much, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr. Thank you po. And now we would like to call back Justice Teresita Diaz Baldos to ask question to the gentleman for the negative.
Okay.
Fiscal EJ, are you ready? Okay.
Good afternoon, Fiscal EJ Fabregas.
Good afternoon, Madam Justice.
Yeah, okay. Under Republic Act 11648, there is a 3-year gap, 3-year age difference wherein criminal liability does not attach to the offender. In your opinion, does that age gap apply to one who is below 16 and the other one is below 13, or one which is below 16 or below 19, or both?
I think you are referring to the close-in age gap rule or the Romeo and Juliet rule.
Yes,
under
Romeo
that
and
rule
Juliet.
Under that rule po, a person below 16, the partner of that person below 16 will not be liable for the crime of rape if the age difference between the two does not exceed 3 years.
Yes.
Provided that the sex is consensual, non-exploitative, and non-abusive. But that exemption will not apply, Madam Justice, if the victim is under 13 years of age po.
Yeah, so you mean there is no criminal liability if if the victim is below 13?
No po. If the victim is below 16 and his or her sexual partner, their age difference does not exceed 3 years, and the sex is consensual, non-abusive, and non-exploitative, there will be no criminal liability. But when the offended party is below 13 years of age, even if the sex is consensual, non-abusive, and non-exploitative, there will still be criminal liability po.
Okay. So, what do you think is the rationale or the wisdom behind creating this Romeo and Juliet principle?
I think po this recognizes the fact that there's what we call in this day and age this teenage predisposition that they can validly give consent to a sexual act. Because if we suffocate the law by penalizing couples whose age gaps are not that much different, then we might be creating more trouble than a solution, Your Honor.
Yes, but okay, can I just add one more question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You're allowed po,
That
Justice.
it would be creating more. But nowadays, would you agree that minors or even those teenagers below 16 are more sexually exposed to sexual education or to sexual environment than the minors of years ago when they were supposed to be innocent, right? So, meaning innocent by way of opening their minds or their introduction to sex has been early. It's been early enough. So, but sex between a person who is below 16 and below 19, because that is observing the 3-year gap
Yes.
also.
Yes.
Okay. Can also be wouldn't that be abusive? Or because the offender would be a little already has reached the age of consent or the age of reason. Wouldn't that
the
be
reason-
exploitative
okay.
also?
That's the reason, Madam Justice, why there is this element that even if the sex is consensual, it should not be abusive and exploitative. So those three elements must exist before we can say that the sexual partner of the person below 16 will not be criminally liable for statutory rape.
Okay. Sige, thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Teresita Baldos.
Thank you, ma'am.
And now we would like to call Justice Alfred Ampuan.
Thank you very much,
Yes po.
Madam Moderator.
Apo. You can start
good
now po.
afternoon, Prosecutor AJ.
Good afternoon, Justice. Mayong hapon po.
Mayong hapon. Maupay nga hapon.
Maupay nga hapon, sir.
Okay, our topic for today is very specific and very simple. It's just about giving consent to a sexual act, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it 18 or 16, right? Is it not
Yes,
the
Your Honor.
question? This is the
Yes,
only
Your
thing
Honor.
that we must resolve. Right? So, the jurisprudence that were mentioned a while ago by the affirmative and the negative, did it relate to consent? To sexual act?
Related po. Especially the cases I cited, the Tulagan.
What jurisprudence was that relates to a sexual act, to a consent to a sexual act?
The Tulagan case po, as well as the Bangayan case po.
Okay. So,
Yes
but
po.
that was promulgated when?
The Tulagan case po, which is an en banc decision, was promulgated sometime in 2019 prior to the enactment of RA 11648. And at that time, Your Honor, the age of sexual consent was still 12 years of age.
So, what will prevail now? Those jurisprudence or Republic Act 1168? 648?
They complement each other, Justice, because the amendment in RA 11648 is a mere mathematical increase of the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16. But it did not modify or change the principles laid down by the Supreme Court in the Tulagan and the Bangayan cases. That's my opinion po.
Why up to 16 when the law very clearly provides that if there will be a sexual intercourse between a 16-year-old and below, but not under 13, the person cannot be held criminally liable. So, is it not only up to 13? 12 to 13?
Based on the amendment made by RA 11648 po, the rule is that a minor below 16 can validly give consent to a sexual act provided his or her sexual partner, their age gap does not exceed 3 years. Yes.
Must not be 3-year-old. But
Yes, Your Honor.
must not be under 13 years old.
Yes, Your Honor. Because even if there was consent, even if it was non-exploitative and non-abusive,
30 seconds to wrap
if
up.
the victim,
So it must be 13 now.
I
The
believe po
statutory rape is 13 and below.
I believe po 16 is still the threshold age, 13 is only the exception to the exception, because it would appear, Your Honor, that 16 being the threshold age, there is an exception, this so-called Romeo and age rule, and then there is a further exception, this under 13 years of age.
Because under our revised penal code, 12 years old is a statutory rape. Consent
Under
is
12, under 12, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Under 12.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
consent is beside the point. Now it's under 13,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Justice Alfred Ampuan. And now we would like to call on Justice Oscar Herrera Jr.
Oh, Mr. Tushender.
Okay.
Justice, nakamute po.
Oh, thank you, Attorney Claire. No, congratulations, Prosecutor Pabriga, for your presentation. No, taking the
Thank you, sir.
negative side. No, now there is no law enacted by the legislature, no, which categorically or expressly states that the age of consent is 16 or 18. Are we agreed on that? No law.
There is no law. There is no law at
Okay. Yes, no
Yes,
law.
Honor.
Okay. Now you cited cases, both of you, no? The cases of Udang, Tulagan, De La Cruz, and Bangayan. And Fiscal Pabriga, your conclusion, based on your opinion drawn from these decisions, that the age of sexual consent is 16, no?
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
advice from the point of view of Attorney Libayan, no? And according to him, it does not matter if one decision is en banc and the other is by division, no? These are all decisions of the Supreme Court that form part of our legal system, no? My question is, do you think there is still need for the Supreme Court, no, to clarify in a decision, maybe with respect to sexual consent, to clarify what is really the age of sexual? Do you think there is still a need?
I don't think there is still a need, Your Honor, because there is a decision that states that the intent of the legislature is not at all times accurately reflected in the manner in which the resulting law is couched. But I believe, Your Honor, that upon a reading of the whole statute of RA 11648, it clearly set a threshold age of 16. And no less than, Your Honor, the Congress, in their press release, categorically stated
30
that
seconds
it
to wrap
raises
up,
the age
Fiscal.
of sexual consent from 12 to 16, Your Honor. And I also believe, Your Honor, that while it is true that the Supreme Court, only the Supreme Court can determine the intent of Congress, it is also true that when the law is clear, there is no longer need for any interpretation. There is only room for application. And it is only when the law is ambiguous can the court construe its intent. And in the case of RA 11648, there is no more need for interpretation, Your Honor. It's very clear that 16 is being
muted.
Thank you very much, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr. And now, it's already 5:51. Bilisan na natin po. Tatawagin ko na po. I will call the gentleman for the affirmative for his closing speech for 5 minutes. Attorney Libayan, are you ready?
Okay.
Attorney Libayan.
Tayo muna natin yung timer.
Attorney Libayan?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready? Okay.
For a while po. We will
at
for a while po. Okay na? 5
Ito nga
minutes.
po at nasaksihan natin yung debate. The debate is whether or not 18 or 16 is the age of giving sexual consent. Ngayon, as a lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, it is my duty to protect everyone from criminal prosecution. As you can see here, if you have sexual intercourse with a minor, you have to belong to the exceptions. Kailangan mo pang i-compute yung 3, kailangan mo pang tignan kung ano siya, kung hindi siya exploitative, kailangan mong tignan kung gaano kahaba yung edad kasi nga kung mas mahaba yung edad katulad ng sinabi doon sa De La Cruz case, it is already exploitative. So now, what can you generate from that? Even lawyers are arguing. Ano ba talaga? 16 or 18? So, ang gagawin mo if you commit sexual intercourse with a minor, then you have to qualify yourself. So if there is a need to qualify yourself or for you to belong any of the exceptions that my opponent discussed, then do you think it is worthy na maniwala ka na ang age of consent ay 16? Do you think it is sulit, no? Do you think sulit 'yon na nasa 16 ka pero kinakabahan ka naman baka hindi ka pasok sa exceptions? That's the problem there. That's why I want to emphasize that the age of sexual consent is 18. Kasi doon, kampante ka. Wala kang iisipin, makakatulog ka ng mahimbing, hindi ka magbabasa ng libro, sandali, maghahanap ako ng defense ko. Kasi nga, ladies and gentlemen, ang inabaan doon sa udang case are merely the sweeping statements that consent is immaterial. Ang sinabi sa tulagan case, it is material because it can be even used as a defense. So in other words, makakasuhan ka pa rin, tapos dedepensa ka. Now, if you want to believe that age of sexual consent is 16, delikado. Delikado. Because the Child Abuse Law or Republic Act 7610, it affords protection laban sa mga nag-aabuso ng mga bata. Ngayon, ganito po yan. Kapag hindi nagreklamo yung bata kasi nagbigay ng consent, kahit nga yung magulang, di ba, nagbigay din ng consent, sinabi dito na yung state bilang parents patrae o magulang ng mga bata, sila ang pwedeng magkaso doon sa tao. Take note, nagbigay na ng consent yung bata. Nagbigay din ng consent yung mga magulang. Why can they still be prosecuted? Now, if you want to spend your time, your money, if you want to exert effort in defending your case, kapag kunwari may nagkaso sa'yo because you had sexual relationship with a minor and you will prove that you belong to the exception, then go ahead. Think of it as 16 as the age of sexual consent. And disregard lahat po nung mga kaso na pinakita ko sa inyo kung saan sinabi ng paulit-ulit ng Supreme Court na kailangan protektahan natin yung mga bata. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentleman, for the affirmative. And I would like to call the gentleman for the negative. Fiscal EJ, are you ready?
Yes po.
Okay, your timer starts now.
As I have emphasized po in my opening speech, this exercise is merely to identify what is the age of sexual consent under current law. This is not a debate to forward a policy and change the age of consent from 16 to 18 or from 18 to 16. Hindi ito policy debate gaya ng debate po tungkol sa dapat bang ibalik ang death penalty. Debate po ito tungkol sa ano ba talaga ang nakalagay sa batas, 16 ba or 18. Now, apparently, in my opponent, in his closing speech, in his desire to capture public sympathy, would like to make it appear as a policy debate. This is no longer a policy debate. As I said, what we are only here to identify what is the age of sexual consent under current law. Now, going to his legal basis, which is the Odang case primarily, I have already pointed out that the Odang case has been declared no less than by the en banc case of Tulagan as a sweeping and confusing pronouncement regarding the capacity of a child under 18 to give sexual consent. Now, what is the significance of an en banc decision? An en banc decision po is a decision that cannot be reversed by a ruling of a division of the Supreme Court. In the case, this is precisely the pronouncement of, in the case of Treyes versus Larlar. September 8, 2020, which is also an en banc decision. Now, an en banc decision is one that comes from the entire members of the Supreme Court, unlike a decision rendered by a division that comes only from 5 justices. Now, ano ba ang ibig sabihin nito? Under Article 8, Section 4 of the 1987 Constitution, it states, and I quote, "No doctrine or principle of law laid down by the Supreme Court in a decision rendered en banc or in division can be modified or reversed except by the court sitting en banc." Una, a decision rendered by a division can be modified or reversed by a decision rendered en banc. Ito po ang nangyari sa Udang, na isang division lamang ng Supreme Court ang naghusga. Ito ay pinawalang bisa na ng tulagan case na isang en banc decision. Pangalawa, a decision rendered en banc cannot be modified or reversed by a decision rendered only by a division. So kahit pa ano ang sinabi dyan o sinasabi ng People versus De La Cruz, since the tulagan case, since it was only decided by a division and not en banc, it did not overturn the en banc decision in tulagan. The criterion of the truth is evidence. Now, let us examine what did Attorney Libayan present to prove that the age of sexual consent is 18. The only proof he presented, Your Honor, was the Udang case. And I said, instead of propagating what I believe, honestly, is misleading information in social media that 18 is the age of sexual consent, my opponent should instead go to Congress and lobby for the passage of a law raising the age of sexual consent from 16 to 18. While it is true, Your Honors, that it is only the Supreme Court that can determine the legislative intent, it is also true that when the law is clear, there is no longer any need for interpretation. It is only when the law is ambiguous may the court interpret its true intent. Unfortunately, the ambiguity, Your Honor, exists only in the fertile imagination of my worthy opponent because the very authors of the law itself, as I had already pointed out, have clearly and unmistakably declared that RA 11648 is a law that raises the age of sexual consent from 12 to 16. And on my part, I have presented more than enough evidence to prove to you that under current law, RA 11648 and jurisprudence, bangayan ang tulagan, coupled with the clear standard of the international community that 16 is the appropriate age of sexual consent, again, I have no doubt in my mind that truth is on my side. Had this been a debate to forward a policy to change the age of consent from 16 to 18, maybe, just maybe, I would have been on Attorney Libayan's side. I have a 17-year-old daughter sitting beside me now, listening and understanding as her father vigorously argues his case as to why 16 is the age of sexual consent. I am arguing not because I am encouraging my daughter to have sex at such a young age. No. No father in his right mind would do that.
Thank you very much, Fiscal EJ. Thank you very much. And now, we would like to call back our judges. We would like to hear first from Justice Teresita Baldos to hear her comments and her verdict as to who convinced her more.
Thank you very much, Attorney Claire. First of all, may I congratulate our two opponents this afternoon. Both of them were vigorous and valiant in expounding their respective positions. Talaga naman. But the issue here, whether 16 or 18 is the age of sexual consent, for me is based on the premise that having sex with a minor is mali, is a crime, or talaga it's against our moral principles. Sa tingin ko, pareho naman sila nag-cite ng jurisprudence, ano? But, of course, each to suit his favor or his position. I am not here to say whether the Supreme Court reversed itself or not, but as I said, the primordial fulcrum here is whether 16 or 18 would guarantee that sex with a minor at whatever age, whether 16 or 18, is wrong or or should be penalized. Para sa akin, from my mind and to my persuasion, I am inclined to sustain that it is the age of 16 that is the age of sexual consent, and therefore I give it to the negative side, mainly because Republic Act 11648 is more in point, and it's directly related to what we are saying, that sex with a minor is an offense. Republic Act 7610, while it takes into account the welfare of a minor, encompasses or includes several other acts such as prostitution, trafficking, which, though punishable, do not really relate or not to the exclusive domain of a minor. I mean, a child over 16 and until 18 may still be victimized, but I would say that they are more for gain and not as a victim of sexual activity or sexual experience. So even as I congratulate both debaters, I would have to give it to the negative side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Baldos. And now we would like to call back Justice Alfredo Ampuan. Justice?
Okay. Ano yan? Start my video. Okay na?
Okay. Kita ka na.
Yes. Thank you po.
Alright. Congratulations to Attorney Libayan and Fiscal AJ. Actually, sex is not that bad at all, but provided if it happens, psychological maturity must be considered. So it's not a matter of age. Because actually, my mother is only 14 years older than me. So she got married when she was 13. But as I said, sex must be blessed, no? It must not be done out of curiosity, and it must not be done to oppress, or it must be, di ba? Blessed, as I said. So psychological maturity is more important to me than age. If you are matured enough and engaged in sexual activity, then there's no problem about it. Because by being matured, you already know the consequences of doing such a thing. Now, the provision of 11648 is very clear, no? That if the partner is not more than 3 years old than the 16-year-old and below, no? And below means 13 years above, or not 13 years under, can give consent, provided that the age of the partner must not be more than 3 years than her age. Diba? Is that not the clear provision of the law itself? And so with that, same with Justice Baldos, I vote in favor of the negative. No? Because it is very clearly provided under such a law that a 16-year-old can give already consent in sexual activity, provided that the partner must not be 3 years older than she is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Justice Alfred Ampuan. And of course, the Chief Adjudicator, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr. May we hear from you?
Thank you again, Attorney Claire. No? And I've already congratulated the two gentlemen. No? It was a very enlightening debate. I learned a lot from the positions taken by both sides. No? And I want to thank you both for that. No? Okay. The only question now is what is the age of sexual consent? No? And if presented to me as a judge, I'll have to resolve, no? What is the age of sexual consent, no? We have to go to the law, no? And the law that we have been arguing about is Republic Act 116481, no? Although it is not expressly and categorically stated there that the age of sexual consent is 16, no? The official statement of the Senate will bind me as a judge, no? There being no other sources to draw an answer from, no? That the age of consent is really 16, no? Okay. We cannot do away with that official statement of the institution that crafted and passed the law, no? That the age of consent is 16. So I would go to support the negative side. I must state though that there are valid concerns, no, valid points and concerns raised by Atty. Libayan in expounding that it should be 18, because that indeed would afford more protection to minors if it will be 18, no. So that is still worthy of consideration, no. And I go with the suggestion of the debater who expounded on the negative side that we should go to Congress and possibly ask Congress to study whether to increase further, no, the age of consent to 18. And that is because of the valid concerns, no, issues raised by Atty. Libayan. Okay, thank you. And congratulations again to the two debaters.
Thank you very much, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr. And first and foremost, we hear from the RM and DZXL 558 would like to express our appreciation to our beloved justices for giving us their precious time and sharing their valuable insights. Hindi po matatawaran ang ibinigay ninyong pagpapahalaga sa araw nito para maisa katuparan ang pinakahihintay na pagdidebate ng dalawang magigiting na abogado para mapalawak pa ang kaalaman natin sa batas patungkol sa age of sexual consent. Maraming salamat, Justice Teresita Diaz-Baldos. Maraming salamat, Justice Alfred Ampuan. And of course, Justice Oscar Herrera Jr. Ayan. And of course, thank you din po to the two gallant gentlemen who pushed themselves to the limits to impart their knowledge about this topic. Fiscal Erwin James, thank you po, and Atty. Libayan. Actually, lahat tayo panalo rito dahil sa natutunan natin sa araw na ito. So, I'll give back the mic to my partner, Radyoman Rod Marcelino.
Maraming salamat, partner, Attorney Claire Castro, ang ating abogada ng bayan. Maraming salamat din sa mga nanood sa ating Facebook at YouTube channel. Opo, sa DZXL News. Again, sa ating mga hurado, maraming salamat sa ating dalawang debaters. Thank you.
Sorry, kulang ang time. Parang kulang talaga yung time. Sorry.
May kanya-kanyang suporta ho. Opo. Lahat ay nagbigay ng kanilang mga opinyon. Hati, partner.
Hati.
Opo, ang kanilang mga no? Opinyon sa mga ibinahagi po ng ating mga debaters. Ganang sabi nga ni Attorney, lahat po tayo ay panalo dahil marami ho tayong natutunan sa ating presentasyon ngayong gabi.
Yes. Sabi nga, kung hindi lang kulang ang panahon, partner, ng oras na ko, mas matagal pa tayo sana mag-uusap dito.
Tama. At dyan nagtatapos, mga kasama,
Salamat muli.
ang ating presentasyon. Thank you sa ating digital department,
Yes.
kay Alegria. Maraming salamat.
Kay Jairus.
Jairus sa Peña, Florida. Thank you very much. Sa ating technical department, kay Erwin. At syempre sa ating newsroom nandyan si Ryan Reloban.
Ayan.
At partner sa ating boss, kay Boss Rico.
Yes!
Maraming salamat
Thank
sa
you po.
suporta, boss. Dahil siya partner talagang hindi siya nagdalawang isip. Sige, ituloy natin yung debate na yan. Maraming salamat. At sa mga sumusuporta kay Attorney
Libayan.
subscribers, kay Attorney Libayan
And
at
Fiscal EJ.
kay Fiscal EJ, maraming salamat din po sa ipinakita po ninyong suporta dito sa ating special na presentasyon ng Usapang Batas. Ako po inyong lingkod, Radyoman Rod Marcelino.
And ako po si Atty. Claire Castro.
Mga kasama, Usapang Batas bukas ng gabi,
Yes.
alas 7:30 hanggang alas 9. Isang magandang gabi, Pilipinas!
The debate. Age of sexual consent. Ang debate. Nina Attorney Ronnie Randolph Libayan at Fiscal Erwin James Batayos Fabrica. The debate. Age of sexual consent. Usapang Batas Special. Is the age of sexual consent 18 or 16? Ano ang tama? Pakinggan ang paliwanag ng bawat panig. Kasamang abogada ng bayan, Attorney Claire Castro bilang moderator at Rod Marcelino. The debate. Age of sexual consent. Usapang Batas Special. Mapapakinggan sa DZXL 558 RMN Manila. Live sa DZXL News. The debate. Usapang Batas Special.